Hey, I almost forgot to add myself to Massive Iron Live. That would have been wacky. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Massive Iron Live. We made it to March. A couple of things before we get started. I'm here every Friday. I do a live Q&A, and I've been doing this, I don't know, 5-6 years now. It seems like forever. If you guys are new here or you're tuning in late, or if you're new here, don't hesitate to post up your questions. I'm here to answer every question. I will stay on as long as you guys have questions. And if you're new, just don't be shy. Post up. It doesn't matter if we've heard a question 1,000 times before, we're going to answer it. Also, if you are late to the party, please head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman, slide into my DM. I answer every question. You can see the link to that down below. I answer every question. Always have, always will, as long as I have fingers, right? We'll keep at it. So I am working on my studio lighting. I have a new camera and I'm trying to get a battery. The camera's not set up right now, so I'm still using my normal camera, so the lighting's not the best, but hopefully next week it'll be improved a little bit. I'm trying to get some of the gankiness out of this whole process. So how you guys doing? My training is going pretty good. Hit delts last night. I've been slowly working up after being out of training for 3-4 months, moving into this house and setting up the gym. The gym took a lot of effort to set up. So training's going well. I did seated pin press last night, 170s, 3x10. We're slowly creeping back up. Hope to get that up to 200 real soon. So before we get into things, just a reminder, if your comments don't go through, it's not me throttling you. It is YouTube giving you a hard time. Try rewording or shortening or using different words. Sometimes YouTube doesn't like certain words. So yeah, that's it, man. It's March. We're headed into spring. I'm really ready for it to warm up. And just a couple things before we get started. I'm working on some website additions, but in the meantime, if you need anything at all, you can head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. I got tons of apparel. If you need a couple of lifting shirts, check out the apparel tab. Got tons of different styles and varieties of stuff. You can follow me on Instagram at Ben the Barman. And we have, teammassiveiron.com, teammassiveiron.com. Please come and join us if you're tired of social media or just really, the chaos of social media or the fitness community, and you want to get away from the trolls and the nonsense and find a good community with support and accountability. Teammassiveiron.com. We'd love to have you. There's a small gatekeeping fee, $4.99 a month, or a one-time fee. It's minimal, but we keep out the riff-raff, right? We keep out the folks that really don't, that are just coming to do drive-by idiocy. So, all right, that's it. Let's get into things. And I changed the way the comments look a little bit so you can see more of my, I got a hair in my mouth. Ugly face. Assassin from Team Massive. Happy Friday from your favorite assassin. Much wove. Make them gains. Yes, much wove. Love it. WUV. Team Assassins from Team Massive. Been on Team Massive for quite a long time. Tim. She's down from Cajun country. Down there in Cajun country. Tim's my son. Not really, but I adopted him. Tim's going through basic training in his country, and happy to see him here. Rico, how's it going? Good afternoon, Rico. Joe B., a client of mine. Good morning, Team Massive. How's it going? When struggling at the end of a bench press set to push past the bottom 1/3, is there anything that could help? No. Don't overthink this stuff. You're going to, when you start to slow on a bench press rep, it's going to vary. You say 1 week you can't get it off your chest, and the next week the speed improves. There's going to be a slow speed improvement on that stalling rep or that failed rep. And that is not anything wrong. You don't have to work on, we're not worried about working on weaknesses or any nonsense like that. That's severe overthinking. The last rep is always going to have some variability. There's always going to be some speed differences. You might be able to only generate like, say, 10% speed, and we're using this in a general sense on that last rep. And the next week, your speed might improve, but you might still fail. And then the third week, you do a grinder and fail almost at lockout. That's actually an increase in strength, right? And there's nothing we need to analyze. You're not failing because of chest or delts. You're just failing because you're weak. And there's going to be a different feel on that rep. Like we do a 5-pound jump right on the bench press. So let's say someone's bench press max is 175. I mean, we're just using round numbers, right? It's not 176, 177, 177.2. We don't know specifically. So we use increments of 5, right? So this individual tries 175 and they hit it. They try 180 and it can only goes 2 inches off their chest. Well, they come back in a month and they try 180 and all of a sudden, they almost hit lockup, but it fails at the top. There's no weakness there, right? There's nothing to discern or pick through. They actually got stronger. When they failed about 2 inches off their chest, their bench press max might have been 175.6, right? And when they failed almost at lockout, it might have been 179, just shy of 180. So we have to watch for speed on that last rep. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just messaging my wife. Does that make sense, Joe? Don't overthink this stuff. It's toxic. You need to get a lot stronger than you are now, and that's not a criticism. That's just the way I have you set up in your training, and Joe as a client, is we are attacking everything from head to toe, trying to get it stronger, our chest, our back, our triceps, our biceps, our shoulders, everything. And that's what we need to do. And over the course of 5 years of doing that, your bench press is going to go up continuously. And then maybe at the end of the road, you can really discern, hey, my triceps are a little bit on the small side, or they've always been a little bit weaker. I feel they're weaker. Sometimes it's interpretation, but we just we have to kind of go like that. There are a lot of folks that try to micromanage things and overanalyze things, and it's a fool's game. You have limited amount of time in the gym each week, and you have to dedicate that to making everything stronger and building a base. Dumbbells and donuts. Most of the time, I've been on Team Massive. You've been cutting. Can you talk us through when you were last massing? Well, I've been cutting slowly. I've had the world's slowest cut. I think if you look back, I gained about 20 pounds during the years I was running really intensely, like for 3 years. I slowly gained like 20 pounds, and it's odd to say while I was running, but what happened was when you're running, you think you get a little bit more hungry than you think, and I was overcompensating a little bit. Then COVID hit, and we were trapped indoors forever. I wasn't worried about my weight when I was running. I was just eating normally and not really paying much attention to the scale. Then we were about to do our 100-miler or our 50 or 96 hours, and then COVID hit and that race got canceled. So sitting around during COVID and that whole chaos obviously wasn't good for weight. I didn't lose any weight. And then after that, I ended up getting COVID, and this is a long list of my journey, I know, but I ended up getting COVID, and then I ended up tearing my left knee, and I was out for like 8 months, not really training hard. I couldn't really deadlift. I couldn't do a lot of heavy rows. I couldn't put a lot of weight on my left foot, so I wasn't doing a lot. And during the last 2 years, we've had so much going on. We had to sell our property, move into a new property, build this house, move into this property, set up my Jim, so since January of last year, I have lost, let me think, I have lost 35 pounds since January of last year. So it's been very, very slowly. The last time I did a massing phase truly was after I got down to 242 and I started to get back, I started to train back for powerlifting again. I actually massed from 242 to like 266. That's not something I talked about a lot, but I actually went through a strength and mass building phase where I got all my strength back, gained some weight, competed at like 262, and then got the weight back off again and retained most of my strength. So that was almost 8 years ago. I don't really know what the future brings. I'm not going to plan any massing stuff. I think the issue I have right now is once I get to my goal weight, and I've been on track really well the last 32 days, but once I get down to my goal weight, then I don't really know that I want to bulk. I'm just kind of probably just going to hold steady. I haven't really seen a lot of mass since 1999. 1999 was really when my mass peaked after 23 years of lifting. And I know a lot of the younger guys, and I'm not being hypercritical of them, but they tend to think when things are going well that it's going to continue to go well. But when you are not pumping your body full of megaroids, there's going to be limits. And at that point, I've been pretty much a pound or two mass wise since where I was in 99. When I got down to like 238, I took a lot of pictures pumped, and my arms looked a lot bigger than they were. My delts and my arms get pretty crazy pumps. And a lot of those pictures made my arms look like 19 and a half inches. But, it was just the magic of social media and proper lighting. So anyway, Stein, good morning. Stein, how's it going? Big William Baker can't join live, but happy Friday. Good to see you. Yvonne, good morning, Team Massive. And Barbell Beauty from Team Massive. Barbell Beauty just on Team Massive, we had a 30-day challenge, and she just finished. I'm on, I don't even know what day it was. 28 was Sunday. 29 was Monday, 22. I don't know. I'm well past the limit. I can't even remember anymore. I've just lost track of the days. Big Justin Jones, good morning. Big hairy ugly dude in Team Massive. Know you answered this before. Keep posting questions. But what is the maximum weight to gain per month while bulking? Maximum, absolutely top level maximum would be 3 pounds. If you do 3 pounds over 6 months, 7 months, whatever, you're going to be around 18 to 20 pounds gained. You really don't want to add worst case scenario unless you're underweight and you're doing a long-term year bulk. You don't want to bulk yourself. You don't want to outkick your coverage. You don't want to bulk so big that you look at the cut and you're like, I got to cut 25 pounds. This is going to suck, right? We try to do things pretty reasonably. A long-term bulk, I would think a good place to start is 6 months at 15 pounds. 15 is still reasonably close to home base. You can knock that out in a month and a half and then get back into the bulking world. Usually we do 10 and 10 in the massive iron world, but that's not a rule. That's just a general starting point. But if you get past, let me get a drink. If you get past 3 pounds a month, there's really no benefit. All you're going to do is accrue fat. There's no muscle building benefit. It's not like the more you eat. It might be really good for your bench press to become a fat ass, but I've been there myself. The more you eat, that more the bench is going to, go up. If you were like 180 pounds and you want to eat yourself up to 300 over the next 2 years, your bench press would skyrocket. That's a great plan for your bench press, but not for your general health. And then you end up 300 pounds with a 350 pound bench press, and you're overweight and you're staring down the barrel of all kinds of health issues. So We want to be reasonable. And I hope that helps some. All right. What's with the fashion for these partial reps again? It's so stupid, will it never end? Well, the whole length and partial thing is so misunderstood. And the problem is it keeps getting pushed by folks that position themselves as science guys. If you look at the research, and this is not just my opinion, this is echoed by many, many other experts. So you do your own research and you create your own decision. I'm not trying to bully you into an opinion. But if you look at the research and if you look at what a lot of the experts are saying, not just a couple of the fringe experts, and I'm not going to name names, but the research shows that lengthened partials may have some benefit when you are very new to training. Very new. You're a newbie. But are they going to have any more benefit than training normally? If you're a newbie and obviously you're going to nail your sleep, you're going to nail your nutrition, you're going to nail your progressive overload, you're going to nail your consistency. That's you right here. And then you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to add in length and partials. Is there going to be any difference as a newbie over 4 months? Come on, let's be reasonable. There's going to be no difference. It's not magic. And it's foolish to place this in the hands of newbies. Newbies are trying to learn form. They're trying to work on consistency. So unless they're in some type of scientific environment where we control everything, it's absolutely ridiculous to place an extra burden on a beginner. And from the research, we have seen that once you have built up a little bit of a base and you're beyond the newbie stage, length and partials provide no extra benefit in totality as a whole, right? So if you want to mess around with them, they're just a tool. They're a tool, but they're not going to be magic. They're not going to be anything special. And we have to filter this. These people that are out there pushing this, that are contrarian versus the majority of what we know of things and what the opinion is right now. It's just another case of pushing stuff because it's the hot new thing. A hot new thing gets clicks, right? It gets views. It drives money. And let's talk about it and let's comb through it. Let's be like, I'm not going to name the names of these top level channels getting 1 million views on these videos. Like the new scientific, no, it's not the new and it's not the scientific. It's absolutely not. And these people are being disingenuous, and it's an insult to science that anyone would push any new tool. And we go through this over and over and over again in muscle building, where someone will start to push the new tool of the day, the new supplement of the day, the new whatever of the day. You can just look at the long litany of this stuff. Just in the past couple of years, look at all the stuff that's been shoveled our way, right? So anybody that has a degree of wisdom in this industry would know that when a new tool comes along, it's not going to be game-changing, right? There's no game changers. There's nothing new in lifting. Some of these exercises that we're talking about as being the game changers, for partial reps, they've been doing forever since the 50s and 60s. If we use a well-rounded program with a reasonable exercise selection, we're going to be fine. So it's just hype, and any influencer or voice that's pushing this tool as the new scientific whatever is either completely clueless or they, just to the history of how lifting goes. We introduce a tool, people make money, it fades away, blah, blah, blah. You can go back to like Mike Menser and his type of programming, et cetera. Now, people be like, I tried heavy duty and it gave me good results, or I tried this fringe program and it gave me good results, or I tried length and partials and it gave me good results. That's what massive iron is about, folks. Fuck your program. Your program doesn't matter, because what's going to drive results is bigger than any specific program. It is having a good exercise selection. It is having training hard, being consistent in your training, being consistent in your nutrition, nailing your form, nailing your control, all of these things. If I went to a gym, if I went all throughout my home state, Ohio, and I found 100 folks that were making mediocre results, and I put them on 10 each in 10 different types of programs. 10 are going to try HIIT, 10 are going to try dog crap training, 10 are going to try this, 10 are going to try that, 10 are going to try a body part split, 10 are going to try a full body, 10 are going to try an upper lower, 10 are going to try push-pull legs, on and on. Because these people have no track record of gains, they're inconsistent, they're not pushing for progression, their nutrition sucks. You can move them to any program and they're going to see gains, because it's an elevation or a step up. Does that make sense? So we always have to filter things in the lifting world through that lens. Back when Stuart McRobert, high intensity training, came along, everybody got focused on his style of training, and all of a sudden you're seeing, this is a great style of training. I'm making results. This is the way, like the single way. You know why people made results on Stuart McRobert's lower volume, lower frequency work? Because it was focused on progression and it was focused on the big hitters. You take a group of individuals, I don't care what program you put them on, if you focus them on progression, nutrition, and a quality exercise selection, they're going to see an improvement in results. And that's why everybody got on the cult of McRobert. Oh, it's a wonderful program. It's just another program in the sea of programs. And that is what you guys need to understand. Can you show which specialized bars to buy? So there's a lot of bars out there right now. If you are a home gymmer, the two I would start with first are safety squat bar, save your shoulders, right? Save your shoulders, safety squat bar, nice price, A+. I would get that. I would get a hex bar, great price, low price, a little bit more lower back friendly. Even if you like to do conventional deadlifts, I would get a hex bar just as options. If for no other reason, you can do shrugs without bashing your nuts with the barbell, right? So who doesn't want their nuts bashed or want their nuts to be free from bashing? So those are relatively cheap. I would get an easy curl bar that allows for Olympic plates, so you don't have to buy standard plates. Those are the three I would buy. And for a home gymmer, you can get a longer handle, single arm handle for Olympic plates. So you could do dumbbell rows beyond, whatever. You can put on as many Olympic plates as you want. That's a relatively low cost bar that I would have in the home gym. What else am I missing, guys? What else would you say the home gymmer should buy? Those are the ones I would buy, the first four. And then we got a lot of other unique bars like the football bar, the neutral grip bar, Swiss bar. That has some value. That might be fifth on the food chain. And I don't know, beyond that, a deadlift bar, a Texas deadlift bar, it has a little bit of bend, thinner handle. If you're a deadlift maniac like me, that would be up there. So we're looking at 6 bars. I have all these bars in my gym. I have a cambered bar. I don't have a safety squat bar. I bought a cambered bar instead. And if you don't want to buy a safety squat bar and you want to continue to squat, but you have a hard time getting under the bar, you can buy a bowed bar, or what we call a bow bar, or a buffalo bar, which has a bend. I have one of those as well. And it goes from up here to being able to lower your hands a little bit, and that can be really good on the shoulders. Big Drew. You studied physics, astrophysics. Do you miss it? No, I still love space. I mean, looking back, I would have probably studied astrobiology or astronomy, something a little bit less math and space focused, because I was pushed a lot in high school, by my science teachers. You should do biology, you should do physics, you should do this, that, the other thing. They all missed the boat because they should have pushed me into programming. I was a programmer back then, way back then, from 83 to 86. I love programming, but they probably should have pushed me in that direction. But they missed the boat. I'll give them a break. But if I had to go back, I wouldn't have done physics. I really don't care to overly study the physics of a binary star or a black hole. I'm interested in that stuff, and it's not like I don't like the physics of it, but I like more of the exploration and the theories of space rather than the pure physics. Does that make sense? Speaking of space, there's a new movie out today with Adam Sandler, Spaceman. I watched a preview last night. Looks a little bit weird. I don't know if he's hallucinating. It's on Netflix. The wife probably doesn't want to watch it, so I'll probably have to watch it myself. Big Kyle W. Happy Friday, Massive Iron folks. Thanks for tuning in. I love each and every one of you ugly bastards. Right? Justin Jones. Do you like classic rock? The 80s is and always will be the best decade of music. Well, I would say the 70s, 80s, and 90s were really a sweet spot for music. I think a lot of classic rock or good rock started to fall away and got replaced by, and I'm not dissing on like things like death metal or rap music or whatever, or modern pop or modern country, whatever. You like what you like. Things are going to change over time. I'm not a music Nazi. Don't really care, but when you listen back to the music from that era, when we had albums, just like bands like Rush, like them or hate them, the older you get, the more you appreciate the complexity and the whole piece put together. Pink Floyd, Rush, all these bands, even some of the old Genesis stuff, like from Abacab and stuff like that. Just amazingly listenable and complex and diverse music. How can you not like that stuff if you like music at all? I'm a big fan of classic jazz. I'm a big fan of improv jazz, a lot of the classics, and just anything that involves really good music, musicianship, and do I like sampling? I understand the appeal of it, but give me a good songwriter, give me a good song, and I'm all about it. There's a lot of classic music I don't care for, but I still respect the effort behind it. Like I hate Tom Petty, but I still respect it's so different and so unique. Right? So how can you not? TK. If one's main goal was improving their overhead with leg drive, how would you, more like a push press, I'm assuming, how would you recommend they do it? We're going to attack everything from a bigger picture, right? The problem we get into in training is I want to attack my overhead, therefore I'm just going to do more overhead, right? If you want to attack your overhead, we first have to build a base. We first have to get a mass base. And we first have to get an upper body strength base, right? Because without that platform, we are never going to maximize our overhead. So while we want to be obsessed with our overhead strength, we need to take a bigger picture look at this. So we're going to attack our overhead. Don't rule out the seated variation. A seated variation, you have more stability, okay? It's friendlier on your lower back, and you're going to be able to press about 10% more, which is a wonderful thing. So you can build up a good strength base there. You could alternate every other week between a seated press, like a seated pin press, or just a regular seated press, maybe even a BTN press, alternating with standing push press. So every other week, I think that would be a good starting point. And then we want to get in some seated dumbbell overheads. We want to build up our dumbbell-based strength on pressing. So get those in the mix. Then we need to back up our shoulder compound work with maybe a machine overhead press and like side laterals or bulldozer laterals for extra massing. And that's a good base. And obviously, you want to build up your chest strength. You want to build up your arm strength. You want to build up your back strength so you have a base. So really attack the triceps. Do your normal work on your biceps, get them stronger. On chest, I would probably do a flat bench variation and then a slightly 20-degree incline, 25-degree incline variation as well. And you could alternate these barbell and dumbbell every other week. But that's what I would do. Frequency, assistance exercises, progression, they don't matter, okay? Like there's no magic frequency. There's no magic assistance exercises. There's no magic progression approaches. In the massive iron world, we use different progression approaches, threes, DDP, escalating bulldozer, all different kinds of things. The problem is lifters get confused watching all of this stuff on social media. Here are my assistance exercises for building a big overhead. Well, great, those work for you, but what are really the staple assistance exercises? What's really the bigger picture for building a big overhead press? And it's what I just gave you. It's not going to lie in a specific frequency, a specific progression method, or specific assistance exercises. Those are going to be personal preference, but those are not the tools that are going to drive a big overhead press. It's going to be the overall strength and muscle base. It's going to be using potent exercises that work for you. Does that make sense? And you know what? It's not always a popular answer, but it's the answer you're going to get because it's the truth. And I'm always going to give you guys the truth here on Massive Iron. It's not the popular answer. People will be like, whatever. I'm going to go out and find Joe Schmo's, overhead press program because he advises this and this, and he really believes in it. That's great. And if you believe in that program, go for it. But if you believe there's a magic frequency, a magic grouping of assistance exercises, and a magic progression approach that's going to build your overhead press, you're drinking the Kool-Aid of this industry that's poisoning this industry. There are certainly quality exercises, and you want quality exercises, but we have to first fit in all the things I just talked about. Getting in our dumbbell overheads, getting in some overhead press variation between seated and standing. We need to get in our triceps work, big hitter. We could do JM press. We could do close grip. We could do cable tricep extensions. We can rotate them all in. We can do our biceps exercises. We can rotate in some incline work on our chest. And with an overhead press, don't rule out the traps, okay? Because if you are detrained on the overhead press and you go into training the overhead press, you're going to notice your traps are getting sore. So building up, your traps are going to get work from overhead press, but building up your traps as well is only a good thing. So we want to take traps training seriously as well for overhead press work. Beat the living snot out of your traps. All right, let me get a drink. Slurpity slurp. Hey, you, post a question. That's a command. Deadlifts and Little Debbie's. I just saw something come through. Would you eat sweet and Greek yogurt if that was all that was available? Yeah, I mean, good, better, best, right? Eating Greek yogurt, sweetened Greek yogurt with a little bit of sugar, is much better than, I don't know, eating a candy bar before you lift, right? If you're diabetic like me, I mean, maybe you like that. I don't know. Maybe that's your thing. But yeah, there's good, better, best. We always want to land in the good, better, best zone. We want to stay within the good, better, best. We can't always be perfect or optimal, right? Hashtag optimal. So we want to always stay in the good, better, best zone. And it's not always possible. I just had I had 2 Greek yogurts for breakfast, and they're sitting right here because I haven't got up to throw them away. This is Light and Fit Dannon, and I know you guys can't see this too well. But 12 grams of protein, 80 calories. Where's the ingredients list on here? Average flavor, doodly-doo. I don't know that they got their ingredients list on there anyway. A little bit of sugar is better than eating bags of Doritos and junk. So always use a good, better, best mantra. Perfect world, eat the perfect food. If something is a little bit cheaper and still reasonable and not toxic, ultra-processed crap, by all means, use it. Big J, Jonathan. Happy Freitag, Stephen, Team Massive, thank you. What are your top dumbbell exercises for bicepticons and tricepticons when you only have access to dumbbells? So let's talk about the bicepticons first. You can do seated incline dumbbell curls, great lift. You can do standing alternating dumbbell curls. Why do I prefer alternating? Because I can lean a little bit and really lean into that contraction. If you want to do just regular dumbbell curls, go right ahead. You don't have to do alternating. Then we have hammer curls you can toss in the mix. I like to do those actually both arms at the same time. I feel a pretty good contraction. You could also do pinwheel curls. Pinwheel curls don't have the same contractual feel. Contractual, something like that, right? They don't have the same feel, but you can use more weight. So there might be benefit in using those. You could step down to hammer curls, to concentration curls, sorry. So those are kind of the staples that I would look at. Now, triceps. Triceps, you can do dumbbell skull crushers, okay? You can do kickbacks. What else could you do? You could do more of a focused close grip press where you keep the dumbbells together. And I don't know if that officially has a name. I would probably also just do a lot of dumbbell benching and overhead pressing because that's going to really help you with triceps mass. How important is correct bar path on bench press? Not at all. Not at all. Don't believe the hype. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the panic. We have to have a certain amazing bar path, whatever. Just press the damn bar up. Just control it down and press the bar up naturally. All this over-analysis is just more like if you're trying to micromanage a 391, a 391.2 pound bench press, then something like this is going to matter. But when you're pressing up, never once did I ever think about bar path. It's completely not worth your time. Just control the weight down, press it up. Control the weight down, press it up. Let things happen naturally. You're going to be fine, and there's no need to worry about correct bar path. It's such an overhyped, overblown, pretty much useless concept for the average lifter. And I would say, I've trained with some pretty strong benchers, some guys that used to train at Westside, power lifters, all kinds. Never once did we ever have a bar path conversation. No one, I'm not saying there aren't people out there who are obsessed with bar path. They are, but never once in my life in 38 years, benching with some pretty strong benchers, did we have a bar path discussion. Just flush it down the old toilet. How do you measure calories of cooking oil? Do you measure? I don't use cooking oil. I use sprays or I use butter. Butter has more, a much richer micronutrient and phytochemical profile. Basically, it has more nutrients and good chemicals. So if I'm going to use an oil, I'm probably going to use butter, and butter you can measure fairly easily. I do spray the pan when I'm cooking like eggs or whatever, but I just use like a olive oil spray, just the bottom of the pan. And I don't know, it's whatever it is, 1-2 servings. The calories are so trivial. I don't worry about that. I worry about adjusting calories outside of that, if that makes sense. If you're cooking with oil, like you're doing some fancy foo-foo cooking, and I'm not being sarcastic here, you do some cooking that involves some oil, then you're going to have to learn how to measure it yourself or be a little bit more precise. There's really no way around it, or else just guesstimate. And usually guesstimating is fine. I mean, I don't think there's anybody using a cup of oil right in their cooking. As long as you're reasonable and you're guesstimating, you're going to be fine. I'm noticing something. Program recommendations to reduce time in gym per session. Good question. I can do more days a week, but need to find a way to reduce the individual sessions time. Like, first of all, because you can do more sessions a week, this is going to open the door to reasonable volume. So if we can do 6 sessions a week or 5 sessions a week, we can still hit the same weekly volume, but we're going to have less volume per workout. Does that make sense? So more frequent training opens the door to maintaining a reasonable volume. This is one of the reasons on the internet, when you see some reactionary nutbag, and you can quote me to their face, when you see a reactionary nutbag say, you can't train as a natural more than 4 days a week or your dick is going to fall off or whatever. If you're a woman, maybe your other things will fall off. We don't need to be crude here, but you know how it goes. They're hyper alarmist. You can't train more than X number of days per week because you're natural or because you'll be overtraining or blah, blah, blah. These people do not understand the interaction between volume, intensity, and frequency. So let's say we want to do 70 to 72 hard sets a week, and that's where we start in the massive iron world. If you are training 4 days a week, that would be 18 hard sets per day. If you're training 6 days a week, that would be 12 hard sets per day. All of a sudden, we have a much shortened workout. So I'm just overstating the obvious here that training more times a week is the best way to shorten your workouts. You don't have to make everyone full volume. Now, the next step, and there are a couple steps here you can do, is drop some of your exercises down to 2 sets. Now, per exercise, I would probably do this on the big leading compound movements, because when you're doing a squat, a bench, a deadlift, or a big compound movement, between the number of warm-up sets you're doing, it can be time consuming. So to cut time, I would probably drop them to 2 and just cut a little bit of time from them. And then on any other exercises, you could drop to 2 as well. That would be the best way to do things. Paul, good morning and congrats on the bench PRs. First day of the cut. You're a pretty brave man, Paul, starting a cut on a Friday. So the sane world, Paul, starts their cuts on Monday, but we won't judge you because we love you, Paul. New beginnings. Nolan, a client of mine. What are some options for breakfast that are filling but still low calorie? So number one, there's a couple things here. You can get the frozen fruit blend from Walmart, like the frozen berry blend. It has like raspberries, blueberries, blackberries. You can get strawberries in the mix. Doesn't matter. You can eat a ton of that, and that's really good food volume. So you could take 2 Greek yogurts. I'm going to give you a big meal here, okay? I'm going to give you a big meal. We're going to take 2 Greek yogurts, and we're going to put a big couple cups of frozen fruit in there. That's one part of our meal. Now we're going to make an omelet. We're not going to use all eggs. We're going to use some egg whites. An all egg white omelet tastes like ass to me. I won't lie. It tastes like ass. If you like all egg white omelet, you do you, and there's nothing wrong with it. But what I would probably do is make an egg white omelet or scramble. Use like 2 regular eggs and then like as much egg whites as you want. They're low calorie. That'll bring up the protein as well. Now we're going to dump in as many plant-based choices as we want. Now, don't be intimidated by plant-based. We're not going to make a broccoli omelet, right? Gag, hashtag GAG. We're going to put in stuff that tastes good. Jalapeno peppers, onions, mushrooms, green pepper, whatever you want. We're going to fill as much of that as we can stand into our omelet, and we're going to put salt and pepper. So you have these 2 Greek yogurts with this ton of berries, low glycemic, high food volume berries. And then we have this omelet creation with 2 regular eggs and some egg whites and veggies. We don't want to over veggie it to the point where it's tedious to eat it. So, and Drew said he likes broccoli omelets. That's fine. So we have 2 tiers. And then, hey, we want some sausage, right? You can get apple sausages, like the bigger ones. Or you can get turkey or chicken sausages from your frozen food section, breakfast section. Great choice, man. You can get a couple of those in the mix, a couple 2, 3. And all of a sudden, you have this big breakfast. Let's say you want some pancakes. Get you, I have a pancake recipe or a protein bar pancake recipe that I use, flapjack. You can make some protein pancakes in advance and throw a couple on the stack. How do you top protein pancakes if you can't use syrup? Number 1, you can spread a little of that Greek yogurt on top. You could put a couple protein pancakes, put your Greek yogurt on top, put your berries on top. Tastes great. Or you can get some natural applesauce and put them on your protein pancakes. All of a sudden, you have a big ass buffet for breakfast of food volume that you can't even finish. And we got the pancakes, we got the sweet, right? We got the meat, we got chicken or turkey sausages, we got an omelet just drenched in Tabasco or Frank's Red Hot, filled with jalapeno peppers. This is a kick-ass breakfast, right? And if you don't like this and you're going for some nasty-ass McDonald's, or you're going, right, yeah, I get it. Like the McGriddle's all right. It's good, but like save your money. Let's get in some food volume. Let's plan. You can make omelets in advance. They hold well in the freezer. Eggs hold well in the freezer. This is you could really just crush food volume. Shelly from Team Massive, good morning. First day of bulk. That's the best thing I've heard all morning. And Raphael, I'm here before 11. All right. I'm going to get a drink, and we're going to pick a winner. So, the winner, if you post a question before live starts every week, you get a chance to win a free t-shirt, hoodie, massive whey, massive creatine, whatever. I'm going to pick I'm noticing something, and Nolan Rick. Both of you guys, I'm going to let you win today. Just DM me on Instagram at Ben the Barman, or email me, benthebarman@gmail.com. So, if you guys ever have any topics you want me to cover, like general topics during a live that are general questions, feel free to post them as well. Just a reminder, please come join TeamMassiveIron.com. We have a small gatekeeping fee, but it's a great community. And the gatekeeping fee basically pays for the community. It costs me like about $160 a month to keep it up. That's through Mighty Networks. I have extra, I think I bought extra data, extra features, extra live features. So it cost me about $160 a month, but that's what, anybody that is on Team Massive, when they sign up, it's basically just paying for that. All right. Peter, good morning. 30-day challenge of success. Well done. Peter was doing that on Team Massive. Any recommendations on pre-workout? The pre-workout landscape has changed so much since I regularly took it. I was a big fan of Pump and Grind, and you can find that over at tigerfitness.com. I always like that stuff. People assume because I used to work in the supplement industry, don't hold that against me, that I got free crap. I would have to buy my crap. And I would buy my crap, right? So I would always buy Pump and Grind. I felt like when I took a half scoop that it wasn't magic, but I always felt, like I would get through workouts feeling pretty normal. So I don't know. I would do research, half scoop some things, check into flavors. It's out of my league right now just because I haven't been around it for so long. Nikos, could feeling exhausted mean that I'm overtraining? Unlikely. Overtraining is very hard to do. Exhausted can come from a lot of things. Your sleep patterns could be off. You could be underhydrated, under electrolyted, just general stress, a lot of things. But it's very unlikely that you're overtraining. You could be overreaching, training too often. I would have to know more, though. Let's see. Ko Tam Sly Chick, you CB Weeby with Gorich, Sneaky Weegy Jezer Sasser Jest. Yes. Struggling with the last 2 pounds of my cut. Any tips? Sitfu, suck it up. You're 2 pounds away. Suck it up. It'll be gone in 4 days. If you're struggling, I don't know why you're struggling, but you need to unstruggle. Because if you're going to spend time in the no gain zone, you need to take probably a diet break for 2 or 3 days, and then you need to get your shit together. And I say that because I care, because we don't want to stay in a calorie deficit longer than we have to. So maybe do the flippy flop thing. Go to maintenance one day and then have a day where you go 800 under or whatever your cutting calories are. But you need to find a way to dig in and get it done so you don't prolong the cut. And listen to the stuff I just talked to about food volume. Carlton, good morning from the road. Carlton's my truck driver client. Carlton, I hope things are going well. Patrick, Steve, regarding your recent deadlift video, what is the key point to ensuring a more vertical back when the lift starts versus a more horizontal one? Like some other, no one trains with their back horizontal on a deadlift. And there's only one way to deadlift, and the way I teach it is the way to deadlift. And Patrick, I'm not being argumentative, but no one starts with their hips up close to their shoulders. The way I teach the deadlift is the same setup. Every coach is going to teach the deadlift, maybe with different lingo or ways of explaining it. But this is all conventional stuff. We don't deadlift with more horizontal hips with our hips high, because that pushes too much of your weight forward of the bar, and then it's just not a quality deadlift at all. It's just a lower back killer. So regardless of the lingo or language you use, the way I teach the deadlift is the right way to teach the deadlift. And basically the same way everybody else that knows how to teach a deadlift is going to teach the deadlift, maybe with different ways of explaining the tips and tricks. But we're not trying to get perfectly vertical. We're trying to focus on not having our weight hang out over the bar. We're trying to take the slack out of the bar, right? And the way I pull, I'm not vertical. But if you have too much of your weight forward or your weight on your toes and you try to pull, your hips are going to fly up, your weight's going to move forward, and it's going to stress your lower back. Big Chris, starting the 30-day challenge. Anyone joining me? We have a 30-day challenge that I'm probably going to keep floating along ad infinitum at Team Massive Iron, just because it was a really popular thing. And you know what? Those that did it, they got in, they got their cut over with, and they got out. And there was no magic. There was no extreme low calorie. It wasn't easy, but they focused on real foods, animal and plant-based. They got in their steps. They had no alcohol. And anyone that completed it pretty much nailed a very efficient cut. and far more rapid than the average cut we see these days. Returning to the deadlift question, why should the middle of the shoulder be only a hair in front of the bar? Because if the middle of the shoulder is more in front of the bar, more of your weight is going to be in forward of the bar, your head and a little bit higher percentage of your body. And when you pull, because you're in a poor leverage position, your weight's too far forward of the bar, your hips are going to come up. If you're too far seated and your shoulders are over the bar, you're in a poor leverage position. And when you pull, your hips are going to want to come up. This is just the way it is. Instead of perhaps having the shoulders in front of the bar. That's what I've said. The shoulders are a hair in front of the bar when you start to lift, the middle of the shoulder. If you get too far forward, your weight is too far forward of the bar, and when you pull it, your hips are going to rise. Joe B, thanks for the bench press clarification. You bet. How far back is too far when leaning back on seated cable rows? It's not so much about how you lean. It's the guys that, like Dr. Mike, that do seated cable rows like this, that initiate with the lower back, then pull. The wrong way to do a seated cable row is to initiate, like you see guys do this on a seated cable row. Their weight's moving back before their elbows are pulling. Okay, it's weight back and then elbows pulling. The way to it doesn't matter where you're at, perfectly upright, leaning back, whatever. You initiate with the elbows. And as you're driving back, if the torso has to move back a little bit because you're initiating with the elbows, that's okay, right? It's the people that are going way forward with the lower back, way back with the lower back. You know, they're doing basically a back extension. And we're not doing a seated cable row to work our lower back. It's okay in a stretch for the torso to move a little bit forward. And then when you're driving the elbows back, the torso can move back to accommodate the pull, right? But when the elbows and shoulders are, when the shoulders and torso is moving back before you even pull, you're initiating with lower back work. And I'm not trying to dig on Dr. Mike, but when you watch him do it, that's how he does it, and it's wrong. And I don't know why he does it that way. Can he still get in an upper back feel? Yes, you could still get in an upper back feel doing that. But I want to stress that I am someone that has pretty much capped out the stack on seated cable rows. And I'm not telling you guys that to brag, but I could get to the most weight you can use on a seated cable row using this method, focused, not pulling with the lower back and then driving back. So if we think about it, if I, a mediocre lifter, is able to get my seated cable row using the full stack by 8 or whatever reps, 6, 8, whatever, without that torso swing, then why do we need to use it? Why should we even entertain working the lower back? And Dr. Mike had a lift that was basically, and I think Jeffrey Verdi Schofield might make a video on it. Basically, it was a Jefferson curl with a row at the end. And you had some people go, oh, it's just an old, it's a based off an old school Jefferson curl. Yeah, Dr. Mike Israel, where you were doing this lame ass row at the end. Like if you're going to do rows, that's probably the worst row exercise you could do. Anyway, that's a topic for another discussion. I don't want to get into a Dr. Mike bashing. I'm not bashing on people, but I have to use that example. I don't understand, like my brain doesn't understand why he is rowing like that when you don't need to. Stein, watching Arnold Strongman or something else from this weekend. I am about an hour away from the Arnold, and I wish I could make it this year. Me and my wife just talked about it last night. We're gonna do everything we can to make it next year. Quite honestly, it never crossed my mind it was this weekend. You know, we've been so busy moving in here and getting settled into the new home. And honestly, I've been enjoying training so much. I've been working 70 hours a week and training. And it just simply never crossed my mind, that the Arnold was coming up. So no, I probably won't. I check to see. I watch the highlights. I don't have time for the full events, but I'll watch the highlights. Big J87, paralysis by analysis. People are overthinking everything. And overthinking makes some money in this industry. It's the toxic culture. And that is everything I am against. You know, the micromanaging of things that don't really matter. It matters for you, your personal preference. Do you want to do a JM press? Do you want to do a close grip bench press? Do you want to do an incline close grip bench press? Do you want to do skull crushers, or do you want to do skull destroyers? It matters to you. But when somebody, an influencer or a fitness personality, starts to say this is the be-all, end-all, whether it is lengthened partials or you must do close grips, that's all bullshit, right? And I will always lead you guys down the straight and narrow path of truth. And it's straight and it's narrow because not many people are on it. And I hope you guys will always understand the bigger picture has a wider road for all of us. There's room for all of us. However we like to train, whatever frequency, whatever split, whatever exercise selection, as long as it's reasonable, you do you and you're going to be fine. The reason why people are making gains isn't because of their frequency of choice, isn't because they chose close grips over incline close grips or skull crushers instead of close grips, or they're not doing lengthened partials, or they're not doing rest pause. It has nothing to do with that. They're not making gains because they're inconsistent with their training. They're not patient. They don't have a reasonable exercise selection. They are not pushing for progressive overload when we should be continuing to push for progressive overload. They're not controlling the weight. They're just doing reps and looking like frenetic weirdos. That's why they're not. A lot of people aren't nailing their nutrition. And when you say nail your nutrition, people are like, oh, I'm just going to eat right. Well, that's not good enough. You have to have focused nutrition for muscle building. You have to have a plan. You need to know your calories. You need to watch that scale. You need to get your protein right. And it needs to be doing that complete dance that you need to do to get your body weight moving up and having the majority of that muscle. Leaving for Las Vegas, worried about gaining weight. More cocaine. You're probably going to, I'm just kidding, stay away from the buffets. You'll probably be walking a lot more than you think. I don't know, man. I mean, if you're going to Vegas, are you going for fun or are you going for work? Because if you're going for fun, go have fun. What are you going to do? I mean, don't eat yourself and drink yourself to the point where you come back 15 pounds heavier, but have a few drinks, eat a little bit, have fun. When we're reasonable, we're just going to gain a couple pounds of water weight and that'll typically go away. But like my rule, and this is a little bit too adult for someone, but it's the rule. If you eat or drink so much that you can't have decent sex, not with yourself, because that don't count, with a partner, like you're so full, you couldn't have quality sex with your partner, or you're so drunk and full, you couldn't have quality sex with your partner, then you're a little bit over the edge, right? So that's my rule. Big Anthony, most memorable post or chat conversation on Team Massive. I don't know that I have a most memorable. I'd have to think about that. We've had so many good conversations. So I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Best bench press tutorial. I don't know about a best. I'm gonna put out a video just like I did for deadlifts on the bench press. So look for that. I'm gonna comb over everything you need to know about bench pressing. We're gonna weed out all the nonsense stuff that's over focused on, like leg drive, like bar path. And we're going to focus on a reasonable bench press tutorial for the average lifter that doesn't try to fit in 248 form cues that are absolutely not needed for the average lifter to build a big bench and a big chest. Coworker left on a month-long vacation. I'm picking up. That's a long time to pick up his slack. Work has been kicking my bee. How do you deal with these times? Number one, you understand you have to focus on what you can control. You might have to dial down the number of days per week you train. You might have to dial down the sets. You can still make really good progress. Accept it. Don't stress about it. There's nothing you can do to change the situation. Don't stress. Just go in, punch the clock, do your work, and get out. If you're taking on work stress, look, I know it's hard. I know it's hard to avoid work stress, but we have to fight past that, because there's nothing worse than being stressed about work and then going home and being stressed about work, right? It's invading your free time. What do you think about wide grip cable rows? Like them. I like alternating grips on lat pull downs and on seated cable rows. There's no better, okay? There's no better, and I'm not saying you say you feel it better. That's fair. But I'm saying in general, there's no better choice for the average individual. The wide grip neutral, I can feel in my back. I can also really feel the V-bar. When I have that tight elbow packing close to the body, I can really feel the V-bar as well. I like to alternate on seated cable rows and on lat pull downs between these two variations. I like to do a wider grip for lat pull downs and a V-bar for lat pull downs, and the same for seated cable rows. Anthony, not sure, but did you ever do massive iron twist on Max OT? Those of you guys that don't know what Max OT is, it is a program that was really popular in the mid to late, maybe early 2010s, like around 2005 to 2012. You don't hear about it much anymore. Just like the Texas method I'm about to touch on and question a few down the road. But no, I've never done my variation of it per se. I could. Maybe I'll add that to the old queue. Big Wes, what is an average rate of progression for an intermediate lifter? Is adding an extra rep on a lift per week or per month? So the first thing we need to do is understand that it's going to vary for the type of exercise. Things like lat pull downs for an intermediate lifter are pretty much going to cap out, and every rep could be tedious. Curls as an intermediate lifter, you're going to be pretty strong, and it's going to be harder to add a rep on your curls. I mean, you might go from 45-pound curls to 60-pound curls in 10 years. You know, that just might be the way it goes. Let's just look at the big lifts. Let's say you're an intermediate, you bench 225, you squat 315, and what would be good progression? So to go from 215 to 225 to 315 on bench, that's a 90-pound increase. Getting that over the course of 2 years would be great, okay? So let's just use 2 years as an example. If you can get to 225, you can get to 315. Because you've established a track record of hard work and progression. It's just going to take time. It might take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 1 year. We don't know. But let's just say, for the sake of discussion, 2 years. So 2 years has 104 weeks. We'll use 100 weeks because you took some time off for sickness, injuries, whatever. So we'll say we have 100 weeks of workouts in 2 years. To go from 225 to 315 is 90 pounds. Each rep increase on your top set on bench is going to add about 5 to 6 pounds to your one rep max. We'll say 5, and we'll dumb it down. So if you do 225 by 5 and you move from 220 to 225 by 6, it's going to bump your max at least 5 pounds. You can just look at a one rep max calculator to figure this out. So you want to increase your bench 90 pounds. That's 14 plus ones. 14 plus ones over 100 weeks or 2 years is basically one every 14 and change weeks. Every 14 weeks, if you add a plus one to your top set on bench, that's 3.5 months. You're going to be benching 315 in 2 months. So remember that. You're going to come super infrequent. You're going to feel like you're not making any progress, and that's the lie that intermediates face. That's the battle they're involved with. They feel like I'm not making any progression, when in fact, progression becomes so stretched out that sometimes it can feel like it's not occurring at all. And this is a lie. Stay the course, trust the process, be patient, and continue to nail your food. So, Sales and Steel said Duffalo bar. That's kind of a variation of a buffalo bar, if I'm picturing it correctly. Your opinion on winning warm-ups. I don't get into that world. I don't deal with that world. I don't need that stuff. I'm not saying it can't have value. A lot of it's overhyped. And I'm going to be real here. Matt Wenning does a lot of exercises that make me scratch my head. So if you try it and you find it adds value, go ahead. I don't even know what RP 4 to 5 is. For me, that's getting out of bed in the middle of the night to take a piss. That's right. I don't even know what that is. I've been training for 38 years. I'm not being disrespectful to Matt. I don't even know what that is in the real world. If you're doing 25 reps, you're probably at what does RP4 mean? That you could do possibly 50 reps with that? I don't even know how to process that. I'm just being real. I'm not being disrespectful to Matt. I don't even know how to process. I don't know what my 50 rep max is on anything. So, but if you find it useful, use it. But don't believe the Kool-Aid. Don't invest the time if you don't have it. Most lifters I know that are successful don't do anything other than go in and just warm up. Maybe 5 minutes of treadmill. Thoughts on the Texas method? I did one go and it worked. Well, any program is going to work. I mean, if you're successful at the Texas method, you would be successful on one of my methods. You would be successful on anything. When we get into linear progression, especially as an intermediate, it's just going to be a crap program. It is, because it's impossible to sustain, right? The Texas method is more of a minimal type of program. I don't like it for that reason. I don't think it's in my world, what downside is there to getting, more, what downside is there to getting, more exercise variety? So I'm going to skip way ahead since we're talking about this. Anthony said RPE is 4 to 6 reps in a tank. No, RIR is 4 reps in reserve, or whatever is how many reps you have in the tank. RPE is rate of perceived exertion. So if you're going to have an RPE of 4 to 6, like this was kind of half-seas of like, how hard was this set? RPE 5. It's kind of half-seas. That could mean 50 reps per set. I was just being arbitrary. So we're not trying to create a rule. Bare minimum pounds of weight I must bulk into per week to guarantee. You can't guarantee muscle building with a bulk because your training could be crap. You can't guarantee muscle building with a bulk. You can only guarantee muscle building with hard training and a bulk. So let's establish that. Bare minimum, if you're on a bulk, if you go lower than 2 pounds a month, you're just walking the fine line. It's rather drawn out and pointless unless you're an advanced lifter and want to do a slow, like say 12 to 15 pound bulk over the course of a year, and you don't have much gains to build, and you just want to stay in the training tank. You talked about incorporating low rep sets once you've laid intermediate. What's a good progression scheme if somebody wanted to do an occasional low rep work? I would work in maybe a week of 5x2, 4x3, something like that. Something reasonable. You don't want to do too much of a volume, but the most I would do is 5 sets of 2 5x3. But 3x3, 3x4, 4x2, 4x3, 4x4, 5x2, 5x3, 5x4, something like that. How about a deadlifts and little W's? I do it, but, well, it's unlikely I'd get sued by little W, right? Like if I get on the radar of Little Debbie, they got problems bigger than me because they're worried about me, right? So I don't know, deadlifts and ding dongs, something to be funny, yeah. Hope the day finds you well. Thank you, and hope everything exceeds any goals set for March. Thank you, and I appreciate that. 13 grams of protein, it's an egg. Not sure what you mean, my friend. Next week, I'll monitor my weight closely as I'm back on the bulk. Should I wait to introduce creatine? No. I would, if you're going to get back on a bulk, I would stabilize with creatine and then adjust while using creatine. So bump your calories, get creatine in the mix, and then I wouldn't introduce one variable, then stabilize and introduce another if it makes sense. Drew, I like broccoli omelets. Yeah, there's some weirdos that like cottage cheese too, but we won't call you a weirdo, Drew. We'll just imply it. No, I can see, bro. I like broccoli. I just don't. I'm over cauliflower. I'll eat it, but I'm a little bit over it. Now you guys can vote. If you only had one choice, broccoli or cauliflower, drop a comment down below. Which would you do, broccoli or cauliflower? Thoughts on elbow wraps? Cheating? No, there's no such thing as cheating for using wraps. We're protecting our joints. If you use all the steroids in the world and all the wraps in the world, you're still not cheating. Cheating is when you're in a competition and you have to use certain sets of standards and rules and you break those. So using wraps or using something like that, that's not cheating. That's just taking care of your body. Are cable tricepticon extensions? No, better in the massive iron world is neither. Thank you, Bruce. Better is, if you like them both, use them both. There's no better. They're reasonably the same type of exercise on the same type of scale or level. So there is no better. Better is usually a little bit of variation of both. If you like one, use one. Thoughts on doing plat squats 2 times a week? Yeah, there's no issue doing that. I put together full body workouts that have a regular volume day and a 20 rep day. So no issues with that. Big Bruce Wilkie. Do any fat burner supplements actually work? Yes, but no. To a significant degree, no. Like Yohimbine HCl, taken, I believe, on an empty stomach 30 minutes. I forgot. It's been so long, like 30 minutes before a workout. Can show to elevate slightly, but the difference is going to be trivial. If you're going to take anything, I would look into Yohimbine HCl. But most fat burners are just going to have something like that in caffeine, and we're over caffeinated to begin with. You're going to add a little red pepper extract in there, right, like they do, and or black pepper extract, and oh, this is going to boost the metabolism. Yeah, red peppers and jalapeno peppers and all that kind of stuff boost your metabolism. I'd rather put it on my eggs because then I'm sweating, stuff's happening, right? Like, do hot peppers boost your metabolism? I don't know about you, but when I eat spicy food, right, something's going on. Is the difference going to be anything big compared to, over the long run? I work in spicy food to begin with. Yohimbine HCl is worthy of consideration. The best thing you can do for your metabolism is focus, and I know you do this already, but it's focus on animal-based and plant-based with fiber. I'm not telling you to eat fiber, Bruce, but like the average individual, because the thermogenic effect of food or protein, it takes more calories to digest the protein, so that's your best bet. But there would be no harm in Yohimbine HCl. Can we eat pasta? No. Pasta is based off processed flour. The 30-day challenge is based on animal-based and plant-based. And the rule is there a pasta tree? right? No, there's no pasta tree. So you can't do it. Well, you're like, there's no Greek yogurt tree either. Well, true, there's no Greek yogurt tree, but like when it comes to dairy, cheese and yogurt are okay. They're mildly processed. But the problem with pasta is you're looking at processed flour, which is one of the worst things you can eat on the planet. Processed sugar, processed flour, refined sugar, refined flour. Are you a fan of Dune? I got through the first half an hour and I had such a busy schedule that week I never finished. So I'm going to have to come back to it. I would definitely watch Dune and Dune 2, probably back to back. Yeah, I don't mind them. And thanks for the Q&As. Thank you. I appreciate you tuning in. Big Barbell Bryce. If you had to pick a progression method or set rep scheme, what would it be? If you had, Bruce trying to get me to do theoreticals here, right? It wouldn't, if I had to, it wouldn't be one. That's the truth. Because every exercise is different. The demands of every exercise feels different. How I like to train each exercise feels different. So Barbell Bryce, the honest answer is it would be different for every exercise. 100%. Have you ever used grip strengtheners? I have the whole set of Captains of Crush. During the pandemic, when we got all the bonus cash, I'm like, I'm going to use just a little bit to get all the sets of the Captains of Crush grippers, right? Because I'm surely a strong, beefy specimen of a manly man. I can crush things with my manly hands. I have big sausage hands, right? That's what my wife says. I can surely crush these. And then I found out, oops, these are a lot more difficult than I thought. Yeah, I've used them. I own them. I'm not the greatest at them, but my grip strength on the deadlift has never been an issue over under, 700-800 pounds over under. I've never had a grip issue. But I still kind of El Succo at Captains of Crush grippers. I wish I had more time for it. Big, hairy, ugly dude, what are your top tips for staying consistent with nutrition? Plan, and then have a plan B. Like, people that don't plan drive me nuts. It's so easy to plan. Even if you don't want to meal prep, get a frozen meal from Walmart, Kroger, wherever, Food Line, whatever your grocery store is. They're everywhere, and they're high-protein meals over 20 calories, and they usually have reasonable food choices. Like, if you are so lazy you can't even work that in your plan, you're always going to be fat. You're always going to be a fat boy because you are too lazy to even step up to that level. I'm just being real. If you're too lazy to even, it's good, better, best. And good is like a frozen meal. Still reasonable. Protein, has some veggies in the mix, more veggies than your fat ass would eat normally. Not you, Anthony, but us in general. We kind of gravitate towards to the lazy end of things. Like, my veggies were a pickle from a hamburger, right? Well, we have beef, so and cheese, and maybe bacon and avocado on a Friday got time. But you know what I'm saying. Staying nutrition, you got to plan. You got to have some choices around. Like me, when I'm done, I can go eat grapes and Greek yogurt. I can go eat watermelon. I keep 96% fat-free ham around. It only has like 270 calories. I keep a roast, or I keep beef, the roast beef lunch meat or the turkey lunch meat around if I want a quick 250-pound calorie. Even that, man. Is it the best? No. Good, better, best. Super high in protein, not a lot of fat, really easy to eat. This might sound ridiculous, but I get the roast beast roast beef, deli meat, like 280 calories when I'm lazy and I just need some quick protein. I'll put some hot sauce in a little bowl and just dip that in there and eat it. Tastes good to me. Plan. My dinners, you have to have structure, right? I keep around boiling the bag of rice. I keep instant potatoes around. I mostly one or the other with eggs or bison or venison. And sometimes I do something different when I'm super slammed at work and it's 9 o'clock and I got off work. I might do chunky soup as the lowest level because it has veggies and has meat. You can look, you want some food volume and you're lazy. Chunky soup you can always find cheap, right? And like if you just do the beef and country vegetable or whatever, they're like 230, 250 calories per can. If you take 2 or 3 of those, 2 of them, and you put in a cup of Greek yogurt in there and some jalapeno peppers, and I like Frank's Red Hot, it'll be hard for you to finish that. That's really, really filling. And does it have the best protein in the world? No, but it's better than, spending a fortune on fast food. So good, better, best. Training, set a flexible schedule that allows for a little bit of insertion of an extra rest day or two when you need it. Like if you're going to try to stick to a 5-day schedule, but you're never able to stick to a 5-day schedule, you need to adjust, right? You could do a 4-day split where you can insert rest days as needed and just cycle between the workouts. Having a flexible schedule or a realistic schedule is key. You want something that you enjoy. You say that you train with maximum load on seated cable rows. I have trained, yes. How is that possible? Free weight stacks have no limits. You can put 20 plates on there. I'm talking about a weight stack. The weight stacks in most commercial gyms have limits. And I've done the entire stack, so I don't know what you mean. I'm not doing a plate-loaded stack. I've never seen any stack where you can put 20 plates. You can put 20 plates there. So you're probably talking about a plate-loaded. I have a plate-loaded stack here, but the ends are minimal. I don't know what you're referencing, to be honest with you. So maybe somebody could explain, because I'm not sure what time. I've never seen any seated cable row stack where you can put 20 plates on, unless it's a top-loaded stack, and that would be quite bizarre. I've never seen it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Rico, thoughts on decline bench? Yeah, I have no problems with it. I wouldn't consider it a staple, but I'd consider it a quality secondary choice. How does come on up now. The questions were lagging, wouldn't load. How does the 5, 10, 10, 20 for bench, one RPM over time? How do you add weight when you progress? How does it increase your 1 rep max over time? Any rep at the end is going to increase your 1 rep max by at least 5 pounds. Now you're doing it fatigued, so that last set you're doing fatigued, right? So it's not going to be a true 1 rep max, but if you start off at 135 by 20 and then you end up 155 by 20, relatively it's going to be the same. If you perform that fresh and not fatigued, obviously you'd bench more, but the 5, 10, 10, 20, basically every rep is going to be an increase of about 5 pounds on your 1 rep max at least. Did you ever deal with insecurity around more muscular guys at the gym during your early days? I think we all did. Like I was a kid, and the gym I trained at in college at New Mexico Tech had it was a very small school. So there was a couple guys in there that looked beefier than me at the time. And I was a kid. We all have degrees of insecurity. It wasn't debilitating. And then when I went to train at a YMCA when I was like in my 20s, 2021. There was a lot of older dudes that had some beef to them. But I always found when I was training hard, they respected me. So that helped a lot. I just kind of stayed out of their way. And I don't know. I'm not super insecure where it's debilitating, and I'm not making light of that. But, I don't know the struggles of somebody that deals with like hyper insecurity, and that's not negative connotation. Big Wes, thank you. You give me some reassurance and encouragement. You're welcome. Covered that one. And Chris Jackson said he likes broccoli. The Black Lion likes broccoli. Drew, broccoli. And Bruce, neither. And Bruce says it's all about putting in the work. Indeed. And definitely don't need no more caffeine. Amen. We got about 8 questions left, guys. Just a warning. Post up your questions now. I'll do another last call, but if you have any questions, if you're watching, please post a question. I'd love to help. Open trap bar with rotating handles, good. Yeah, I don't. If you like it, I would probably try it before you buy it, because I like stability in the handles, and when I'm lifting weight, if it's a little bit off, there might be some initial rotation. I'm speculating. And I don't know anything about grip width on an open trap bar. I've never looked at it. I didn't even know there was different grip widths. That must be a specialty bar, maybe. What do you call macaroni pasta in the U.S.? I'm assuming you mean macaroni. Is butter all right in the 30-day challenge? Yeah, it's all right. It's basically heavy cream. It's basically a dairy derivative. Absolutely, you can use it. I would, it has a lot of calories. I use a little bit of olive oil spray. A little bit's going to be fine. We're looking more at big food choices. As long as it's moderated, you're fine. I made noodles with almond flour. Well, if you're in the 30-day challenge, yeah, you can't do it. I've used almond flour before in cooking. I'm not telling you guys not to eat this. We're just talking mostly about the 30-day challenge. So, in life in general, you want to avoid white sugar, white flour as much as possible. And when it comes to baking or cooking with flours, we probably want to minimize it, but that doesn't mean we can't use it. Do you believe there's a correlation between grip strength and longevity? No. Nope, I do not. I've seen a lot of strong men that have worked with their hands also die of heart attacks. Now, there might be somebody might be more physical. A more physical man might tend to be slightly in better shape in general. So, which came first, the chicken or the egg? It's not like getting your grip strength strong in and of itself is not going to cause you to, live longer unless you have a more well-rounded protocol. Do you try innovative handles for cable station? I do some different stuff. Like on seated cable row, I like the plasticky handles with the not rope, but the straps, whatever you call them. I like to do individual handles on the seated cable. You can use whatever you want as long as you're strapped in, your grip is good. No, what hot sauces? I'm Frank's Red Hot 100% of the way. 100%. I'll eat any other one, I will, but Frank's is my priority. What's your plan after the 30-day? I'm actually doing 100. So we'll see. We'll see what it's like at the end. Doing one made me fall asleep. I don't know if it was not the most engaging. I didn't mind it, but you ever been into a movie like 30, 45 minutes in and you're like checking your phone, you're like, I wonder what's on Instagram. When I'm in the middle of a movie and doing that, that's a bad sign. So there's some movies that are entertaining. Like there's a lot of really bad movies, but there are some movies that I have to force myself to not check my phone. Hey, Massive. So when you have a 20 or 30 minutes to work out, I would do 1 to 2 sets per exercise and maybe toss in some rest pause work, maybe 3 sets of rest pause work. So a bench, or let's say you're doing dumbbell bench, you knock out the 60s for 10, rest 30 seconds, do as many as you can with the 60s, rest 30 seconds, like sit up, rest, and then do it again. I would do a little rest pause. It's going to be highly efficient. You'll get in more reps, and you'll get a little bit more bang for your buck. Thoughts on alternating grip on lat pull downs and seated cable rows every other week? This is exactly what I do. It's not magic, but I like to do it for sake of variety, and I just find it engaging and fun. A reasonable variety when it comes to muscle building is rarely a bad thing. I've been running the 5, 10, 10, 20 for 7 months. It's amazing. Highly recommend it to everyone. The 5, 10, 10, 20, more than any program I've put together, has produced a lot of big quality, consistent progression. It's not magic, but man, it can work. I just had a client hit 225 by 21 this week. What are your thoughts on a vertical diet? I don't like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's real foods. I don't like restrictive diets. I think we can do better. I think if we just use a reasonable variety of animal and plant-based foods that we like and complex carb sources we like, if we get too deep into the weeds, sometimes I think we're really micromanaging stuff when it doesn't need to be micromanaged for the results we're looking at. All right, last question. Did you see the new Shogun TV show? No, I have not. And after I get some food, after this live, I will check it out. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to sit around, see if any more questions come in before we go. If you need coaching, please head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. It's only $89.40 a month. After the first month, I do custom workouts as well. You can find the custom workout at superlivingtoday.com. Please join Team Massive Iron right now. If you are watching this and you haven't joined Team Massive Iron, do yourself a favor. It's only $4.99 a month, or there's a one-time fee for life. Come join us. We have a really solid community over there, and we'd love to have you. And follow me on Instagram. I've been the barman. My website, we got apparel. We got all kinds of stuff. We got tons of workouts if you need workout options. Check out my PDF, my workout collection at superlivingtoday.com. It's like 300 pages of everything. Anthony, what's the shortest coaching period you can buy? If you're going to go for coaching, it's a 3-month commitment. The reason why is we do the bulk of the work during the first month, the setup, setting up the program, dialing things in. And from there, it's a little bit less intense. So 3-month minimum commitment, or you can buy a custom workout for $69 and I tell you how to bulk and cut the next year, and I give you a plan of attack. And then you can combine that with Team Massive. Team Massive has form checks. You can ask me questions. You can get micro coaching. You can get as much out of Team Massive as you want. And there's no minimum commitment. All right, guys, that's it. I'm out of here. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. I appreciate everyone's support. I'll be here every Friday until I drop dead. And we are out of here.
Over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.